And we're live.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully, everything is fine. Yes, everything should be fine. So, we're live from my bedroom.
I know, isn't it
Well,
a wonderland?
well, this is our DIY mic stand. Hopefully, it's all right. We can even
Yeah, it
get
should
it
work.
closer. Hopefully, it's not distracting at all. But yes, we are live from my bedroom because we just got notified today that the radio is going to be closed for the holidays. So at least we can still do the live stream.
Yes, I feel like this is a nice creative work around it.
Yes. Also, make sure I have to do the shout out before we start. Make sure to check us out on our other social media at _creepy_corner on Instagram and Twitter, and at CP Creepy Corner on Facebook. But yes, yeah. So we're gonna talk about horror films today. We were gonna talk about that anyway.
Yeah.
And I think this is like. Oh, okay, I thought it wasn't plugged all the way. Yeah, this is our least scripted.
Yeah, this is just gonna be us talking about our favorite things.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't even made a script for it anyway. It's not like we make it like an actual script. It's just we usually take notes.
Yeah, we usually have pages of notes for our little topics, just so we know we're telling the truth. Well, the supposed truth.
I mean, we try to be as informed as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just wanted to talk about horror films today because we haven't talked about fiction in a while, and I'm surprised we've taken so long to just talk about horror films in general because they're one of my favorite things ever in the world.
Yeah, like I said, it's always nice to mix it up, isn't it? Like, just there's only so many factual horror things.
I mean, there's still a lot of things that we can still talk about. It's just like
it's more fun thinking of what you can create in the mind.
I love it because like it just feels like we're talking to ourselves. But yeah. Do you want to explain your ear stuff as well?
Oh yes, this isn't me.
That's gonna be
this isn't me just being weird or having some weird creature crawling out of me, of the hollow head that is my brain. No, I've got a bad ear. That is the least disgusting way of going about it. Yeah, bad blocked ear. Trying to fix it with some of this stuff. I'm gonna cover the label because I don't want us to get striked for anything.
We're not gonna get striked for that.
It's a label. It's a labeled container with a nice big logo of a certain big company on.
Anyway, the thing has been explained.
Yes,
but
so I'm not dying. Something isn't crawling out of me. Sorry, something isn't crawling out of me. I'm just my body's.
Oh, and also I got a fringe. I gave myself a fringe. Elephant in the room have been addressed. What's your favorite?
I wouldn't have noticed.
What's your favorite? I forgot a couple of days.
What? Right. I'm actually gonna go for two types of versions, and for me, it's when it comes to horrors, especially when it's
I can never have like one favorite film for anything, like not even in general. So yeah, with genres it's the same thing. Like
like for me, like this is just going to be me showing two ends in which showing the monster and then not showing it at all, and how like both of them could both go well and then go awfully. So for a good example, one of my favorites, which is actually on Netflix now, so I might update my knowledge on it, is The Thing.
What thing?
Oh my god! Funny part is she's not joking.
I had to.
You're not joking, no, that's the part. The sad part is the fact that I went, oh yeah, The Thing's on Netflix, and you went, what thing?
Because we always talk about things, not calling them their name.
The Thing and stuff. Oh, hello, Freaky Fallish.
Oh yes, hello. False.
You know I don't try hard when it comes to my own language. But yeah, The Thing, I think both I'm not going to say the original remake and then the prequel remake of that remake, which was 2001, I believe that one was made.
I've watched none of them.
Complicated.
I'm very disappointed in myself.
One of them is amazing, one of them is god awful, and there's one simple reason for that, and that involves CGI.
Yeah.
Fucking hate it. Done well, not noticeable, and I feel sorry for those people who do it well because their art will never be noticed unless it's like.
That's the whole thing, though.
Yeah, but I feel like it's one of those weird appreciations. But no, it's a good example of practical effects versus CGI and computer-generated effects.
That's the thing, knowing me and like how much I like practical effects. I'm surprised that I haven't watched The Thing.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. Is the fact that it's like
that's the thing. You're rolling your eyes at my puns?
Yeah.
Have you listened to yourself?
Mine have style to them. As if you wear your style, I speak it.
Excuse you.
You're excused.
Okay.
But no, it's that thing. Like, if I could pull up a clip right now, if we had a spare laptop or something,
showing it to the
yeah, to just holding it right there. The original remake is one of the best comparisons and arguments for practical effects ever.
Yeah, I know.
In which, like,
I feel like that's the thing with me and like films. It's like I've watched so many bits of it of like, oh, fucking special effects, like practical effects in this.
yeah,
I feel like I've watched the whole thing.
Oh no, you
thing.
honestly have not. Have you seen the dog scene, which will probably make you go,
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's one of those things in which it, like, all the practical effects and the puppets, which were hell to try and make and like puppeteer, while also setting them on fire per takes, because a lot of the scenes required that.
Yeah.
Because that's spoiler alert, that's its weakness, fire.
Because especially back in the day, they were like paving the way for other like practical effects stuff. Definitely. So it was like a lot of things weren't even like invented before or had never been done. So
that's the thing.
That's what also makes them.
Yeah, that's what's so impressive. I mean, every film with like brilliant special effects has that. I mean, Poltergeist is a good a good example with the
actual corpses.
And is it Poltergeist I'm thinking about with the ghost coming through the wall, like as if the wall is like stretching?
No, that's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, that's Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, that's also a brilliant idea. The fact that
because then they did the translate other one,
exactly,
and it's so bad, especially because like the rest of the CGI is pretty alright, and it's from 2011, is it the remake? And it's not the worst.
It's just because with CGI you're basically computerizing physics. You're coding physics in there, so you have to like really try and get it down to the T. Meanwhile, in the practical effects, they just got stretchy material and had someone actually put their face against it, and it looks better because it actually looks real and terrifying. Yeah. And it's that thing. I mean,
what?
With the thing that there's a lot of scenes that are pretty much mirrored, even though the remake 2001 version is technically a prequel, because it takes place at the Norwegian base that the thing that is disguised as a dog is running away from while the Norwegians are shooting at.
Yeah.
But also just goes, it had a massive spaceship as well. This massive, like, parasitic creature also had the ability to man a gigantic spaceship. It's awful.
I mean, it probably didn't make it on its own. Probably its society did.
But still, it's the fact that like it's just not good, because I think the like humans just figure out how to work, like fucking scientists in the middle of the Antarctic who were under threat like of life over an alien creature somehow managed to turn the thing on and like overload it or something, so that it destroys the ship, but like there's a surviving part of the thing, and that's what you see running away, is that it's just literally seeing its ship goes shit boy, I'm out, and then just leaves. But it's and what the worst part is the sequel, prequel, remake, whatever, the 2001 one was going to have practical effects, because the people thought we can't really keep up with this. I mean, with us going ahead with such an iconic a film with such iconic effects, we can't not make it practical. And then some asshole producer just went, don't like it, CGI.
So did they actually like make?
Yes, there's footage of some of the actual practical puppets.
Because that sucks. Because that takes a lot of
and like it's not as if they're not moving and not working. No, these puppets that they made fully working, and they're like mechanical, and they look good. But because this one arsehole producer saw them not finished, in the wrong lighting, not in the right setting, and not like completely finished. He went, no, it doesn't like it, doesn't look realistic. CGI it, because everyone's doing that now.
For a lot of
everyone's
stuff,
doing it.
Like for example, I shared a post on our Instagram that was behind the scenes from The Conjuring, I think. Someone has a crush on you.
Oh, I feel sorry for them and their taste in men.
But yeah, I shared this like behind the scenes like scene from The Conjuring, and it was like a side-by-side comparison of the actual like finished film, like scenes edited and everything, and the other ones. And like even if you have to use like special effects, you still have to use practical effects that like if you see them live, they don't look good. Like for example, one of the women like gets dragged around, like across the room, and it has this like rail thing that's attached to her back. So but what they do is they like CGI the rail out of the frame, so you can't see that she's being like mechanically pulled and shit like that. So that still doesn't even look good either way.
Yeah, I mean, CGI is like always so risky, and
especially because you don't see it until you're done. It's like, how can you not rely on like puppets that you can kind of CGI like, to improve?
People don't realize how much time goes into the smallest amount of CGI.
Like, because like even like Chucky and all that stuff, like the earlier films did use a bit of CGI. Like there's a scene where like he is like visiting the voodoo priest.
Yeah.
So he's like at the window, and there's this like arm crane thing that basically like holds the like robot. So they CGI the robot arm out. So like the more modern the films are, the more CGI they use to enhance the puppets, but they still use puppets.
It's really it's got to the point where the reliance on it, it's just too much for me. Like, again, the key is, which people don't realize, is CGI is brilliant for larger scenes in which the brain doesn't really connect to the detail because it's looking at a bigger scene.
Or for certain things that you just can't achieve without like fucking killing someone, or I don't know. So many things are achievable.
Like, I know this isn't horror.
People are just lazy.
I know this isn't horror, and I know you're going to hate me for bringing this up, but Game of Thrones is a perfect example. I can't wait to watch it again. You're going to lose so many friends once that comes out.
What friends? There was a professor in my course that loved Game of Thrones, and she always used it as an example. So I've seen like a lot of like behind the scenes stuff.
Do you want to hear a nerdy off-topic story about me? You guys are going to love this. For anyone who doesn't know, I partake, or did.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't went to it for a while, which is quite sad, to be fair.
Oh yeah, they're asking if we watched us.
No, actually,
I haven't watched it. I want to watch it, but I watched Get Out, and I love it.
I was going to say it's by the same director, isn't it?
Yes.
Who's one of the
Jordan Peele.
Yeah, he's brilliant comedian, brilliant guy, very smart in his writing, and like again, Get Out's amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like it. I usually try and avoid like trailers and stuff. I've watched a few trailers from Us. First ones, I didn't know how to feel about them because it's very different of a premise. Well, is it?
Well, no. I said it
they encounter like. I mean, family that's like
the only other comparison I can really make is Your Next.
I haven't watched Your Next. I wanted to watch it.
That one's got that one was quite a nice, surprising one in which it like, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but like a lot of the plot that does unfold, it's more of a Mickey take of slasher horror. Like it's still
so like Scream.
Yeah, definitely in the exact same part of Scream, which it is technically a thriller and a slasher, but it doesn't take itself too seriously, and the plot itself shows that as well. But no, yeah, Game of Thrones, perfect example.
You were gonna talk about your.
Oh shit! Yeah, my mind is just gone today, isn't it? But yes, my nice little Game of Thrones story. My reenactment group, we are Normanus, and we obviously focus on the Norman period of.
Did you even say that you do reenactment, or did you like?
Yes, I partake in reenactment. My reenactment name is Oswin. However, the main point of this story is at training. We usually like to spice things up with a few funny little games. One of the games that we like to play is called Rubber Ducky, in which everyone's got a call sign. Everyone, while they are continuously in battle, have to scream this call sign. Usually the example given is Rubber Ducky. So while you're still alive, you have to say Rubber Ducky. However, we had a little twist on this game. I was like, cool, pick your Game of Thrones family allegiance. And obviously everyone there's massive nerds, and everyone there's massive Game of Thrones nerds. So everyone knows the families off by heart, except me, because I'm terrible with names. Never mind fictional names. So I just went off my very basic Game of Thrones knowledge and just picked families. But you can have alliances. You can make alliances, but again, because it's the Game of Thrones, and it either ends with you on the throne or you dead, those allegiances would never last. So it would be like, help me kill this person because they're better at than me. And it's like, yeah, sure. And as they get the killing blow, your person that you're allied yourself with would just stab you in the back, quite literally, and go, now I am the king. And it's quite nerdy and fun. But horror films. Yes, that was my little nerdy moment.
Have another comment. I didn't...
Yeah, Get Out is a lot more.
It's very social commentary, which I like because it's really like, well incorporated as well.
I feel like Us is much more like subconscious and like subtle about its meaning if it does have a major one. Yeah. Meanwhile, like Get Out was very on the nose with its.
Yeah, I mean it's. I feel it was kind of necessary. Like maybe not before it was made, but now that it's being made, I feel like it's good that it exists, but I just feel like just like people of color representation or.
But it's that thing, isn't it? Is where like people, it's that thing we were seeing where the aspects of that race.
You make it sound worse.
So I know I do make it sound
by
terrible,
trying to make it sound better.
But it's that thing where it's the Ariana Grande has been called out for it, hasn't she? Where she's
the blackface and brownface.
Yeah, exactly. Where people are finding it attractive, but like are doing it in a very racist or stereotype way, and without like connecting themselves personally to it. They're just taking the aspects that they want.
I mean, not really. You're gonna explain in cultural appropriation in a very basic way. It's much deeper than that. It's not like, I like that, I'm gonna do it. It's much deeper than that.
I don't know. It's a very deep sort of aspect in film and its thing, and like, but at the same time, it's
more so culture in general, and then that's reflected in film.
Yeah, and it's just that's the thing, is it goes very deep in it, but the base message is still obvious and like very hard to miss. I'm just happy for the amount of representation and stuff. But anything else that you need to say about the thing? No. I've got another argument to make for the opposite side of seeing a monster. So before I do that, you go. I wasn't really like planning on going that much into depth. Just like going through a few like films that we like, and just like, I don't know. Well, my main thing was just CGI can really ruin a film, and like sometimes like practical effects and like the much more basic way of going around it is much better. I mean, look at Jaws, which was by production standards an absolute nightmare, an absolute bomb, but because they managed to hide away the monster a bit, and the short clips they give you of the shark. Sequels were off. Oh, have you seen? Because I haven't seen the 3D one burst through the screen. It's like, it's awful. It's terrible. It's so bad. Oh yeah, we found Jaws. We found the child of Jaws. What do you want to do? Put it in an amusement park, bitch. That could go well. That's the thing. Like, if they did the basic amount of research, they'd know sharks literally cannot survive in aquariums. They refuse to. It's just like, oh shit, I'm out of my natural habitat. Stop swimming forward. If they stop swimming, they die, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, that's fair. But like I said, I cannot pick like one favorite film, but A Nightmare on Elm Street is very high on the list. Child's Play very high on the list, because like I said in the serial killer episode, I'm very interested always in like why like psychologically some things work. And I had this module, this subject in uni last semester, which I wish it was like for the whole year. And like I actually talked, I've talked to you about Tom. Tom was my professor, and like I've talked to him about like the show and stuff. So who knows? He might be listening. Hey, Tom. But I love that module so much, and I'm just saying it because he might hear this. But yeah, I just loved it so much, and I've tried to like, because we had
in my English academic language skills module, we had to do these presentations, and I somehow managed to do both of my presentations about horror stuff, just as an excuse to talk about horror.
You're so playing to your own stereotype.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm not gonna downplay. I'm not gonna downplay. I don't know, honestly.
Gotta play to the extra.
I don't know when horror films started becoming like such a big thing to me. Because like when I was a kid, I was fucking terrified. And actually, fun fact, the first horror films that I ever watched that I remember are A Nightmare on Elm Street and Child's Play, coincidentally, which are my favorite ones. But at the same time, they fucking traumatized me so much. And like I hated them for a while. And I watched them when I was really young. I think I was like 6 years old or something like that. And I was scared to death.
I think the first actual horror film, which I mean, doesn't really class as horror film, I watched very young, was Jurassic Park.
No, it's not a horror film.
It's got horror aspects.
It's not a horror film.
Samuel L. Jackson's hand, that is obviously Samuel L. Jackson's hand because it's black, because couldn't be a black engineers or something. I love that sort of very subconscious, like, oh no, this is this one black character's hand. How do we know it's his? Because he's the only black character we have. And it's just like, ugh. But yeah, it's like as a kid that terrified me just because of that one scene. Just it's like, oh, it's you're safe, pulls out hand, and now it's a disembodied hand. That terrified me as a kid. But for a while, I generally just hated the idea of horror films.
Yeah, me too.
No, but that's the thing. Like, to the point where I didn't want to watch them. And I think the first one I watched when I was a teenager, about like 15 odd, was Conjuring. Really? It was quite a modern one. It was quite a modern one. It like once I finally watched it, and the overhype I gave myself of how scary these things could be, it was like, oh, that's not that scary, that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so like I kept went into it, and with me being a film student and someone who over analyzes like films because it's the one thing he knows about, like it was just mine was
I think it's called 13 Ghosts.
Oh,
I've never watched it. 13 Ghosts, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. One of the more
state-of-the-art remake.
One of the more lesser known horrors that I really liked was, I think it's Room 13 or something. I think it's based on a Stephen King novel. Let me look at Room 13.
But yeah, I'll just carry on explaining the story.
On.
So you can search that.
Yeah, I'll search it in time.
I watched
Taurus memes.
And Nightmare on Elm Street and Chucky. I was fucking terrified by them for like fucking years. I hated horror films. I would never watch any. But in my school, and I think I've told you this before, in year 6, which would be the equivalent of the 5th year in primary in Spain, in case we have any Spanish viewers. So I was like 11 years old. There's one teacher that everyone wanted to have because he was like the fun one. He every year, I don't know if it was for Halloween or just like for no reason, but he would play like once a year the Blair Witch Project, and he would send like flyers home for the not flyers, like
letters, like just
like as an authorization, like you had to be like signed.
Oh, that's smart.
And like a couple kids, yeah, they also play Wallace and Gromit, but they also play the Blair Witch Project. And I just love that this like teacher was like so passionate about the Blair Witch Project. He's like, I need to show this film to a bunch of 11-year-olds.
like personally, and you're gonna probably hate me for this.
Mr. Hughes.
I'm not a fan of the Blair Witch Project.
I fucking love the Blair Witch Project. It's one of my other favorite films, and that's another thing. I watched the Blair Witch Project. I was fucking terrified out of my mind because the only previous experience that I had with horror films was when I was like fucking 6, and I watched Freddy Krueger. And I actually liked it a lot. And I wasn't like super intrigued by it. Like I didn't like immediately go watch it again or anything, but I did like remember liking it. So then at some other point, I was in my grandma's house, and they were like playing this film on TV, just like on a channel or whatever. And I don't remember if it was The Shining or Chucky, but I remember being like, okay, I think it might have been Chucky. Because I was like, okay, I'm gonna basically confront my childhood fears, and I'm gonna just sit through this. It was also like the middle of the day, so I'm like, how scary can this be? I'm like 15 or something. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. I like it a lot. So like, it wasn't the first one, so I went back and like watched all of them, just like back to back, and I love them so much. So
See,
much.
There's another point of
And then I
like
watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm
modern
like, shit.
versions of older films sort of ruining it, and that can like link into another point I was making, because I was actually going to bring up the Blair Witch Project, despite how much I'm not fond of it.
It's very good. It's
production wise, I love the way they did it. So for anyone
and
who
like
doesn't
it's
know,
so like, well, if whoever like hasn't seen the Blair Witch Project, go and do that favor to yourselves. But it's basically, it honestly set the precedent for like a lot of our films nowadays that have to do with like technology stuff.
It was one of the first found footage ones, wasn't it? I mean, there was Wreck, and I think that one was Spanish.
Yeah, that was so much like later.
Yeah, but like it was one of the first ones. It was a really creative idea, because like that's the problem with horror for me.
Thank you very much. See, the thing is, now I feel like I have to explain myself and why I like the Blair Witch Project so much.
Right. Let me just quickly explain my reason for liking the
because I'm a Taurus. And I need people to agree with it.
I love the way it was produced, because for people who don't know, the Blair Witch Project had one of the most unique ways of producing a film ever.
It had like $60,000 of like budget, and that's it.
Oh yeah. So obviously, to get the authentic found footage thing, they used the original cameras.
Yeah. Plus, like they weren't like I think it was an indie film.
Yeah. It was like a student-ish film. I'm not sure how far that goes.
Film, but it wasn't. It was an independent film.
Yeah, but instead of just handing them a script and just going, "We're going to film here," act scared, they generally just went, "Oh yeah, we're just going to leave you in this supposedly haunted forest. Oh yeah, we picked this location for aesthetics," and then just plopped their actors in the middle of the forest, gave them a map, and told them where to go in what direction, and like to whenabouts to get there, so that they had some sort of schedule to go against. And then in the meanwhile, they give them some sort of direction, like in each like care package they would bring them for like food. Oh yeah, just to piss them off more and make them more agitated towards each other, they would slowly give them less and less food. Nice. in each care package. So
that's kind of sick,
it is sick though, but like that just shows in the film, because if you haven't watched the film, the further the film goes, the more agitated at each other they get. Like they snap at each other even more. And the reason that's so believable is because they're hungry, they're tired, they're getting fucked about with. They can't really act normal because they were generally left to starve for a bit just to piss them off. The cast followed the crew followed them shortly behind and made sure to fuck with them as much as possible. And then in each care package, a letter would be left for them individually, telling them what was going to happen next, very vaguely though, like, oh yeah, someone in this camp's going to go missing. So they didn't just freak out when someone actually went missing and went, fuck, one of our castmates has just disappeared. No, they knew what was going to happen, but in a vague manner. They weren't knowing who was going to be going missing, what was going to happen next. And a lot of the reactions and things you see are actually them reacting to things that are off screen. I mean, there's a moment in the film where one of the characters goes, "Oh my god, what the fuck was that?" And that's just one of the crew members in some dungarees, wearing nothing but dungarees and big boots. Like, who was one of the larger cast members, stood so far away from the camp that you could see his outline, but like not him in general. And I think that's brilliant. It's the most genuine fear ever, and that's what makes me like it. But what I don't like it is the slow burn. However, it's the fact that it leaves it to the brain that I love, which the sequel ruined by CGI, because it decided to show you the Blair Witch, and it's kind of shit.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna explain myself.
Yes.
For starters, I think that the Blair Witch Project has a very good like rhythm, honestly, and pace. I don't think it's dragged out at all. Yeah. I feel like everything is like very well like spaced out, and the tension is built really well. And the thing is, people are used to horror films going like very straight to the point and like everything being very obvious and everything being like just in your face, and like they make you that you know that you're being scared when you're scared and all that stuff. But the thing is, real life is not like that. And obviously a lot of the things that we see in horror films would not happen in real life. We can like imagine, or like, oh, see a fucking shadow or something, like, oh, what if that's that? But it's like, the thing about the Blair Witch Project and the thing about the slow burn and all that is that that's real life. Not like exciting things don't happen all the time in real life. Most of real life is boring. Most of real life is agitating or like frustrating or just not nice. And that's, I like how it portrays that, and how like that goes really well with like how minimalistic it is, and also like a very long-winded explanation about like found footage and the whole like dynamics of the camera, like how the fourth wall like works and all that stuff, how it becomes a character in itself, how it involves you a lot. Because like obviously if like the film is like filmed from an actual camera, and it's not just this like omnipresent thing, it makes it so much more realistic. Because like not just because you might think that the videos are real, it's just the feeling. It's like you feel like you're there, you feel like you're filming, or like you're being personally addressed and all that.
I mean, look at one of the very first found footages, which was Cannibal Holocaust. Which was so believable in the way it was presented that people genuinely believed it happened, and the cast was dead, and that this director had to go to court saying, "No, they
ruined the thing."
No, I just signed a contract telling them to be quiet for a while to like add hype to the film, and it sort of backfired and adds too much hype.
And honestly, Cannibal Holocaust has the same kind of like pace, but because I think that's what goes with found footage films, and that's why a lot of people find Paranormal Activity boring. And it's like, you might find it better or worse, because like the whole like mythology and premise and the scares and like the deaths and all that stuff, they might be better or they might be worse. But the slow burning is just real life, and it just adds to the effect of like, it's not just everything happening in one night. It's not this like surreal thing. It's like, oh yeah, fuck, that happened. It's like, it's slow, it's gradual, it keeps building up. It's like, that's what gets the characters like going crazy, basically, is that they feel everything like going to shit around them like slowly. It's like, it's part of the thing.
I feel like the thing that
and it's so like misunderstood and underestimated.
See, that's the difference. Is like, as much as I don't enjoy Blair Witch Project, I do admire it for the things it's done, and I feel like it having a horror film that has such a slow burn is very good. Because I hate films that just go boom, jump scare, boom, jump scare, and
plus
just
like
go straight into the action.
It's not regular. Like, that's the thing as well with like found footage. It's not like super adulterated with like fucking sound effects or like fake jump scares and stuff like that. Because I hate it so much. Like, you get it a lot with like modern horror films. It's like one of the like, the first or the second jump scare is always a fake jump scare, where it's like the friend or the dog or something like that. It's like, I don't like how it's done. Actually, today I was watching a horror film. It's called Veronica. It's a Spanish horror film, and it's on Netflix. It's very like, it's pretty good. I was actually very surprised by it. It's based on a real case. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, documented like by police paranormal cases in Spain. It happened in like around the 70s. So it's very interesting how it's like very kind of, well, it's obviously exaggerated, but it's like based around those events. And it's very interesting because like there's a scene at the beginning scene I love, because it's kind of like a backwards sort of narrative. So it starts kind of at the end, and then it explains how they got to that point. And there's one scene where like there's the police car, I think, that's arriving to the scene, and the camera's like attached to the side, so you can see it drive and you can see the like the rear view mirror and all that stuff, and it's raining. And then when they arrive, you can see the car door open, the policeman go out, and like through the rear view mirror you can see him talk to another guy. And then when they close the door, the camera like comes out of the door and it follows the character, and I feel like that's so good. It doesn't have anything to do with what I was going to explain, but I just love that scene. But there's a part at the end of that scene where a character is screaming, and then it jumps to the face of the character, and it looks like she's screaming, but she's actually yawning.
Oh, that's quite smart.
She's like very close up, and she's opening her mouth so much that if like it, when you know it's a yawn, it's very clearly a yawn. But like if you hear it with the scream, it looks like such a anguishing scream, because she has her mouth like so open. So like I think that's a very like non-jump scare, scary trick thing to do.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, it was the fucking neighbor.
It's a nice cut of editing anyway. It's a very.
I
good
like
way.
it a lot.
Yeah,
then
I mean,
the soundtrack is really, really good as well.
I don't know. I feel like the one thing that ruined the Blair Witch Project for me is also the thing that ruined Blair Witch, in which the slow burn and this intense feeling of just uncomfortable feeling, it was there, but it was the fact that there was no payoff for it, which one works in its favour and it's brilliant. And if the Blair Witch Project did try to do that, I imagine it would be ruined.
Actually, I don't know if I've told you this before, but like researching for this like essay that I had to do about horror films, which I did about the Blair Witch Project and its remake. So I'm basically an expert now. No, I'm not. But I did pass, so I must be somewhat knowledgeable about the subject. But I was gonna say something about that, and I don't know what it was. Something about the Blair Witch Project. My mind went blank. I had a brain fart.
My world.
I had a brain fart right there.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like the fact that like the one major intense build up in the climax of the film, which won't spoil.
Oh yeah, the alternative endings.
That's the thing. It's like the ending we did get. You're still left questioning now.
It is the best ending. Like I don't know if I've told you. That's what I was gonna say. Actually, I don't know if I've told you like what the other alternative endings are, or if you've watched them or something.
No, I haven't.
But they are on YouTube.
Oh, I'll have to give them a look.
Because like that's the thing, they did film them because it wasn't like that. It was gonna be like much more complicated or like costly or anything. It's just literally like a few second shots of like that last scene where they're like in the house and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those.
It's like 4 or 5 alternate endings, and like honestly, the one that they keep is the best one.
But that's the thing.
The other ones are like 2 on the nose.
It's just my personal sort of. I want there to be a thing.
The thing is,
although when the sequel did it and Blair Witch did it, it is so shitty.
It's so shitty.
And I'm just sat there like, that's the monster.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the thing.
And then when she sees, right, I'm not gonna feel bad about ruining a second one because it's not worth the watch. Honestly, isn't. It tries too hard, and it. I mean,
if you're like as invested as I am in these things, and you don't mind watching the occasional bad film, which I always say that watching bad films is a good thing.
Yeah, it gives you a nice little spectrum to go off.
One, it's a palate cleanser. You can't be just watching good stuff all the time because you'll think that good stuff is bad eventually.
You need a bit of torture watching.
Yeah, you just need some like.
You need to hate
relativism. Yeah. You had to know why things are good and why things are bad.
I did that recently with a film. I can't remember what it was. Did that with Scooby-Doo, but I'm not going on about good films right now. But but that's the thing is it was my need to have a conclusion that was proper that made me not like it, but it's the fact that I know it's a brilliant film and in all margins it is that I can't argue it's not.
That's the thing. Like I'm so used to like reveals at the end of films being like disappointing. Plus, like that only leaves even more to the imagination. It's like and it doesn't only like involve like, oh, I wonder what the witch looks like. It's like, was there even a witch?
That's one of the theories, isn't it? That's one of the theories that there was no witch and that the 2 camera guys lured this girl out here for one reason or another.
So that it's the same as the whole like American Psycho sequel. Because like the thing about American Psycho is like, was it all in his head? Did everything actually happen? Did he actually kill those people? And then the fucking sequel shits on that, being like, oh yeah, he actually did. And not only that, a fucking 10-year-old killed him and got away with it. And not only that, but she got away with a lot of other quirky murders around her own uni.
And we're supposed to root for her because
so bad. Also, I feel like I need to get this off my chest. I don't know if people know that there's a sequel to American Psycho. Like I said, if you're like invested in this type of stuff, watch it if you want to watch a terrible fucking film. But
that's like Room levels terrible though. Like it's
no, because The Room is like good from how bad it is. But like American Psycho, it's not even. Well, I mean, fucking memes have come out of it.
My friend, she got that uncomfortable just watching Tommy Wiseau that she had to take breaks watching it. She couldn't spend that much time watching it because the mere presence of Tommy Wiseau made her uncomfortable.
No, but what I was gonna say is like I felt like when I watched American Psycho 2 and American Mary, I felt like American Mary reminded me a lot of what American Psycho 2 wanted to be and could never.
Well, that was the
I
thing.
showed it to you.
That was another thing, wasn't it? That was another moment of producer meddling, where it was just American Psycho 2 was meant to be its own individual film with its own
not
plot
a sequel at all.
that just happened to be very similar to.
It's not even. That's the thing.
Well,
they just like
the
fucking
only
pull it
similarity,
out of their ass.
Yeah, the only similarity is that it focuses around a psychopath.
Yeah,
that's it.
But like, it's not even.
Someone saw that and went, I'm not. Some producer saw that and went, don't think it's going to make enough money just on its own merits. Yeah, connect it to American Psycho. What? It's got no connection to it. Yeah, I don't care. Just connect it somehow.
Didn't even make it more famous because like
I don't know.
I just heard about it because this one time I was just like going through one of those like pirate-y like film sites.
Ooh,
and like
wouldn't dare do illegal me like.
But so like it's one of those things where I was like looking for films to put on my list. And I was like going through them, like, oh, what films have sequels so I can like see them. And I saw that American Psycho because I think I typed American Psycho and like I just entered it and it was like the sequel is one. I'm like, fuck. And I saw fucking Mila Kunis and I'm like, what?
To this day, one of my favorite film moments is just the pure joy and energy he has killing Jared Leto. Yeah. He's explaining the power of wham to him. I
haven't watched American Psycho in fucking ages.
He's just like, is that a raincoat? You are, yes it is. And he just goes over to the jukebox with this film. It's the dance when he dances over to the room back up to his drugged up mate, and he's just like. The pure joy in that man's face, the pure joy in that man's face, knowing that he's about to murder someone, and the fucking chainsaw scene. Oh, I'm gonna ruin it
with
for
that
everyone.
Woman. I love that scene.
It's brilliant. So it's a roller coaster, and it's absolutely brilliant. But that Blair Witch actually reminds me of the other thing argument I was going to go on about. It's like not showing the monster. Because sometimes, again, there's other examples like Jaws where that's just so much better, and like Babadook, where like it's this omnipresent. It gives it an omnipresent and more powerful thing.
Yeah, I mean, really like the Babadook actually.
I mean,
actually, wait before I forget, I'm gonna just make it known. I'm gonna link when we finish the stream. I'm gonna link in the description a Twitter thread that I did on my personal Twitter of the films that I just watched this year because I have a lot of like horror films and stuff. So if you want like horror film recommendations or like film recommendations in general, I usually put like a score out of 10 in my opinion next to the film, and it's sweet, so you can like kind of have an idea of what I think of it.
Could I make a recommendation that isn't really horror, but you've probably know what recommendation I'm going to go on about because recently I've just binge watched Netflix random things.
But that's not horror. We're here to talk about horror.
But it kind of there's some episodes that are based. One episode even has Dracula in it. The fact that it's a bit
scary doesn't mean that it's horror.
One episode even has Dracula in it.
Okay.
Love, Death and Robots. Oh my god, it's fucking amazing. And it's multi-genre because it's like Black Mirror in which it just goes all over of each episode. So some are funny, comedy, and some horror in their designs. There is one that is very close to horror, which I think you'll like, which I can't really talk much about because with the episodes being very short animated stories, there's like the plot is very condensed, so there's not much I can explain without ruining it. But it involves space and cryo sleep and all that jazz, and getting lost. And another one where another one which is more thriller than horror is the best way it's described is a combination between Gravity and 127 Hours.
I've never watched 127 Hours.
So yeah,
although I know what happens at the end, so I feel no need to watch it.
Awesome, it's just so good. That is my recommendation. If I had to make a horror recommendation, Scooby-Doo 2. Which is also on Netflix now because Netflix knows the power of a meme.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, what's that? Scooby-Doo 1 and 2 aren't available on Netflix. Shaggy becomes the next biggest meme. Scooby-Doo 1, Scooby-Doo 2 and one.
I swear they have a guerrilla marketing team and they're fucking amazing.
Oh, honestly,
But
they're actually brilliant films. So.
I wanted to talk about more modern horror films since I've mentioned that my main favorite horror films are like old ones.
Yeah, that's my problem though, is the fact that with my certain mindset between that, I feel like original and more older horror films do it much better.
It just depends so much because, like, for example, the one that I was going to mention, It Follows.
Yes.
Fucking amazing film. I love it so much. It's so good. I shat myself the first time that I watched it.
I just love the idea of a
so
sexually
good.
transmitted ghost.
It's a sexually transmitted, like, just by that, I think we've already, like, spoiled enough if you haven't watched it. Because, like, the first time that I watched it... Wait. I love watching films without watching, like, trailers or anything. Because, like, as a person that likes films a lot, I'm interested in seeing, like, how a writer or director or whatever, they introduce things, how they introduce, like, certain characters, certain situations and atmospheres and all that stuff. And the introduction, just the whole film in general, the introduction to It Follows is so good because, like, it's so, like, the first scene, the opening scene is amazing. The jump scares are, like, totally, like, non-jump scares.
Yeah.
Just everything in general just feels like so unsettling from the get-go. You don't know where it's coming from, and like when they finally explain it to you, it's so like anguishing. Like the girl.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Honestly,
it's so
you've got
good.
to watch it.
It's so good.
But it's one of those things where like it's brilliant because everything the characters do is believable. Because one of my pet peeves is when characters in films make stupid fucking decisions, and that's why I hate Paranormal Activity from the very first one to all of its sequels.
It's because
even with them acting as if they're just doing security camera stuff, they do shit that no normal person would do. Like it's so overacted and over like it's just stupid. Even before the scary stuff happens, it's like, oh, why do you have a camera? I wanted to film something sexy while you were in the kitchen.
People like to be vloggers. People like filming stuff.
I know, but like, even then, every word that comes out of the actor's mouth just seems unbelievable.
That's an even better reason to like the Blair Witch Project even more because it's so
realistic. And that's why I appreciate it. Blair Witch does it better. I mean,
it's so realistic. And also, like, one of my favorite things as well from the Blair Witch, obviously, which was, like, one of the big things about it, and one of the things that I wrote about in my thing was their whole, like, advertisement thing. Like, the website is amazing. The website is still open. I'll list it in the description as well when we're done. Because it's just so realistic. It never, because, like, if you've ever been to a website of a film before, like, they always put them in the posters and stuff. They're always, like, very much, like, promotional material and, like, behind-the-scenes stuff, or, like, where you can watch the film, or, like, facts or shit like that. I don't know. Or like interviews and stuff. But the thing about the Blair Witch one, the original one, is that it's basically made as if it's like a real thing, and they have like archives of the witch and like all the things that they found. It's so elaborate. Like they have like interviews with like
it feels
the
like
characters.
An actual documentary, doesn't it? It feels very real, like a documentary that went wrong.
And actually, like around the time that they released that film, they released another documentary that went like along with the film, but it was actually like a documentary stuff to make it like even more realistic,
wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's an actual like documentary, but like it's just all framed in such a good and like detailed way, and like it's just to the T. I love it so much. What other modern?
Not too modern.
Hereditary. Hereditary is a really good one. I watched that recently. What else? Creep from Netflix. I always like going on the horror, like just tag on Netflix, just searching horror and like watching anything. Sometimes they're terrible, like fucking satanic, and sometimes they're great.
One that I think may be a bit polarizing, which I'd say is modern. It was released in 2007 apparently. Is 1408. That was the Stephen King one I was on about, where it's based in a hotel. It was inspired by I think that obviously Stephen King was the one who wrote the short story, which it's based on, but it was inspired by all the sort of scary stories you hear about cursed hotel rooms and ghostly hotel rooms that will like mentally torture a person and that like unescapable sort of thing. It's a very good film, very polarized, and didn't get much of a hit when it came out, but I personally think it's really well done. Like like everything that happens in the film feels realistic, but obviously in a film sense, it feels like everything the actors do is very realistic. And it doesn't go for the main stereotypes of, horror films. I mean,
that reminded me of something.
That's also reminded me of another recommendation I've got to give: The Green Room. Oh my god!
Yeah,
that one.
That's a good one. I honestly didn't like it as much as people were like putting it up to be.
I love the fact that it manages to make you believe that the stupid things that people do in horror films are believable.
Yeah,
like like these people are doing these stupid like decisions in this like deadly situation. Like it's the basic plot is a very small band doing this big gig that was going to pay them a lot, and they're very out there political band, and they end up not knowing that they're performing for Nazis. So they get trapped in their green room, which is like the backstage room.
Fun fact, do you know who I didn't realize is an actress, and I realized like a long time after, because I actually didn't watch the show when I watched the film, but like, do you know who featured in the film?
Who?
Again, maybe.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe from Arrested Development, which fucking amazing show. Nothing to do with horror. Still amazing. But I was thinking about like other like Netflix recommendations, because I think it's amazing when like Netflix has like good horror films, because I think it's a genre that deserves more love.
I'm gonna actually look up horrors on Netflix, see if there's any good ones.
Yeah, let me think, because like I have my own Netflix list. I can just like pull it up now. But The Clown was one that I saw, and I don't know how I felt about it. I think I didn't like it, but the premise itself, well, it's super simple. It's basically like this guy that tries on this clown suit. And
I remember that. Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Orphan is amazing. I watched it and I shot
myself. I think I know what that one's about. That's the one.
No spoilers.
Yeah,
but it's so good. It's just it like surprised me so much when I watched it. I don't know what I expected, but it was definitely not that.
Gerald's Game.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Oh, there's a scene in Gerald's Game that it's awful, but like in the best.
And Hush, but most people have probably seen Hush.
Yeah, it's all right, but Gerald's Game. Honestly, I always say this when I talk about Gerald's Game, but I feel like there's a point, and like obviously no spoilers, but like there's a point in the film where like I feel like it's very clear it should have ended, and like anything that happens from there is very.
Did you just recommend Creep?
Yeah.
Did you know there's a sequel?
Yeah, and they're gonna come out with a third part.
Oh.
That's Veronica. That's the one that I was.
All right.
Telling you
I've seen Babysitter advertising. I haven't
watched it, but it features Bella Thorne. So like, how can it be?
Oh, Velvet Buzzsaw sounds interesting.
I haven't watched that one, but okay. The Babadook is on Netflix.
Oh.
The Invitation is very, very strange. It's one of those that's like so weird. Mm-hmm. It just makes you feel so weird. The Ritual is all right. I feel like even the beginning, like the build-up of the film, is even better than the actual like horror parts. What else?
Annihilation.
Hostel is.
I fucking love Annihilation. Honestly, that's a brilliant one.
Oh, Sleepy Hollow.
Than anything.
Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, Dark Tourist, not a horror, but like honestly, for anyone into the creepy stuff that we're into, highly recommend.
Oh, The Craft. The Craft is that like teenage witch one. I also love like films like that. Films like what's it called? Planet Terror. Jennifer, all those. I love them so much.
Do you know what film tried to do the found footage thing, which I thought was awful? Concept, and the trailers made it sound amazing, but the actual like thing of it was awful. Was fucking. It was either Friend Request or that other one.
Yeah, Unfriended.
Unfriended. Oh,
honestly,
fucking awful. I hate them.
As the first like Skype type film, I think it was pretty alright. Like, no, if you watch it on a laptop,
I don't know whether I'm being picky or anything, but there's so many things where things don't add up.
I know the plot is a bit shit, but it's just like how it's like executed. I really like it.
No, you've got to admit the end isn't shit.
I forget the ending, honestly.
It's a jump scare. It's a jump scare.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
But like, it's just.
Oh, The Mist is also on Netflix.
The series.
The Corpse
Yeah, there's a
There's a
series.
series? Oh no, never mind then.
No, the series is really good. It takes a different direction. Don't
Black
watch that.
Swan.
Don't watch the one next to Black Swan.
XX.
It is garbage.
I know, but I want to watch it.
It annoys me how it used. It annoys me how it tried to use like a following of people to advertise itself. It used the fact that the directors were all female as its main selling point, and I was like, should sex really matter if the film comes out all right? Like, I don't care who makes it as long as it's a good film.
I didn't know the Da Vinci Code was on Netflix. Oh, La Isla Mínima. I don't know the name of it in English. I think it's just Marshland. Okay, it's actually really good. It's not that much like horror as it is like your like typical like murder police type.
It's more tension than thriller.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's like based a bit on like the past.
One found footage one that I did kind of like.
Holy Hell is such a good documentary.
Of course, you've got Totally Spies saved on your list.
Yes, great. 10 out of 10.
I love Totally Spies. But as Beloved So Below, that is actually one of the ones.
As Above So Below, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, because it's found footage one.
It's decent. It's not amazing, but for what it did very well.
I mean, I think it's the found footage about the catacombs. What more can you ask?
I know. I mean, that reminds me of one of my
favorite
real life footage, like creepy footage, and it's from the catacombs.
What's the name of it? It's not on Netflix, but The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is mediocre. It reminded me Haunting in Connecticut, I think it is. If I'm wrong, it's basically a found footage exorcism film.
Oh, that's sick.
And it's really, really good until the ending. The ending is awful. It's terrible. And it's so disappointing because like the rest of the film is so good. It basically follows this priest that like is a priest, I think. He's an exorcist, but like a lot of times the people that need to be exorcised that he encounters, they're not really possessed, but for like the family's peace of mind and the person's like psychological stuff. Yeah, he does like this mock like placebo exorcist.
I mean, it's very believable.
So it's this like documentary following this exorcist and like the things that he does. So it's so interesting. It's so cool. But the ending is so shit.
And the one that's on Netflix that I think you haven't watched.
Let's just type horror and see what comes up. But yeah,
Cure for Wellness. That's really unnerving.
Emily, I watched it the other day. It's fucking shit.
Let's have a look.
Insidious, like the first one is all right.
Sinister, that's garbage.
Awful, terrible. Don't Knock Twice. I watched
it's awful. Brilliant example. That's a brilliant example of terrible jump scares.
Don't Knock Twice. Yeah, it's fucking awful.
No, not jump.
Oh, Sinister. Yeah,
Sinister. In which like right.
Oh, Rings. I watched The Ring the other day recently because I hadn't watched it. But Rings apparently is pretty decent.
I mean, yeah. Apparently, it was a quite faithful readaptation because it was adapted for like Western audiences because obviously
Satanic is just terrible. Oh, House of Wax. House of Wax is a good one.
Yeah, I can remember watching that as a teenager, and it was actually quite well done.
The Purge is decent. It's
Purge?
Just The Purge. It's decent. It's just like it keeps getting.
The first one was.
Oh, Unfriended is on Netflix now.
Oh no.
Oh, The Witch is a good one.
Right, for people who don't know, the thing that pisses me off about Unfriended is how if you pay enough attention, a lot of the things that happen in the film don't add up at all. Like a lot of the scenes where something's happening, something else is happening in the exact same scene from someone else's angle, and it's just not edited well. And then I understand there's parts where they have to focus on another like.
Oh, Legion characters. Is fucking terrible. Look at that scene. That's literally the worst scene. Like the scene that like, well, I think it changes sometimes, but oh my god, it's terrible. It's basically the scene where they're like, I forget the whole thing of the argument of the film, but it's basically like they're at this diner and this like grandma is like a fallen angel or some shit. Oh, that's so sad actually. And like the grandma just starts like fucking like climbing up the walls. And like, oh my god,
But it's
it's
the
such
thing.
a bad film. Anaconda.
Did you know
I'm
Bailey?
saving that
Did you
one.
know Bailey fucking likes that film? He
Oh,
likes
Woman in-
Legion, and he
oh,
always
Woman in Black
argues
too.
that's a brilliant film.
No, it isn't. Like I can
This
barely.
is the same person who argues that Suicide Squad's a brilliant film.
Oh, no.
Also, if in the unlikely
Wait, am I still
event,
wearing this ungodly shirt? Yes, I am.
may I, right?
Look
One,
at this terrible taste.
One, shut up. One, that's my shirt. Two, in
Oh.
my defense, yes, the thing.
What thing?
Oh, it's even got the original. Holy fuck! Has it got the original?
Do you know what other film, like pre-Saw film?
Oh
is really
no!
fucking...
This is the sequel I was telling
the
about.
bad sequel.
The bad
But
sequel.
this is the original.
That's the the
wait,
second original.
wait. I love Saw. That's another one that I wanted to
Mhm.
mention. But a pre-Saw one that's fucking regression is fucking terrible. A pre-Saw one that I like that is fucking amazing. Cube.
Yeah,
Cube is amazing. Cube 2 is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. My cousin and I watched it a couple times, and like that one's one of the ones that I could firmly say don't watch it because it's fucking awful. But it's so laughable.
Did you know?
Cube 3 is just.
Did you know
worse.
Cube was such a brilliant concept that a lot of dedicated fans of the film made a game for it?
Oh,
And that's cool.
There's a show in Spain that's like, well, it stopped airing.
The Cube.
No, it stopped airing a long time ago, but it was like a very like tongue-in-cheek, like very modern family type interview style, but like very much like lower quality. And it was like this group of friends and stuff, and they did an episode which was a parody of the Cube, and it was so shitty. But so
Life is
funny.
a very mediocre-esque film. It's good.
I think isn't that the one that you talked about the other day?
Yeah, it's good, but again, it's the ending that I think is brilliant.
I'm just like updating my Netflix list at this point.
I Am Legend. No.
It's decent. It's mediocre.
The ending was Dark Shadows. Ooh, some
Van
Johnny
Helsing
Depp.
Beach. I hate Dark Shadows. I hate it. I want to watch it to the cinema. Why did I do that?
Van Helsing's a terrible series. Ash versus the Evil Dead. Fucking hilarious.
Oh my god.
No, because it plays on it goes the same way that the Evil Dead did, in which it went, people like the cheesy comedy of this. Shall we just focus on the cheesy comedy? Yeah. And then you just sort of expand on that. So it doesn't take itself seriously at all, and it's fucking hilarious. It's
no,
amazing.
but I want to watch the overview.
But
I forget if like the Exorcism one that I was going to talk about is
horrors because I like keeping horror. I only ever treat my whenever I want to watch a horror, I have to watch a good horror. Coraline's a good one, of course.
Oh yeah.
Why is Ted 2 on the horror search list?
What?
Ted
2? I don't know.
Oh, you're saving the village?
Yeah.
Oh no!
I haven't watched it.
You're saving M. Night Shyamalan's.
The Witches, a classic.
That's terrifying. I can't believe that's a kids' film.
Pan's Labyrinth is so good.
I've actually never watched Pan's
Labyrinth. It's
Labyrinth.
amazing, and I actually, for some reason, I cried once watching Pan's Labyrinth. I don't know why, but I think
Jackass.
we should.
I actually feel like
I
might binge watch Jackass sometime.
Spanish movies.
Just because the presents, that looks interesting. 28 Days Later. Oh my god.
It is. Wait, it's 28 Days Later on Netflix, and I watched it illegally. Where is it?
I don't think it is.
Oh, why did you say 28 Days Later?
I just thought of it because it's the found footage style of it.
Wait, this one, Strayed. It's basically. Wait, is it another found footage? Oh no, never mind. I thought it was another one. No, there's just like this film that my cousin and I found, and it was basically like a Jewish exorcism film,
right?
And it was very intriguing because it was cool. Like it was literally the whole premise, but with the Jewish like point of view.
I had an ex who was Muslim,
Creepy,
and she taught me about these things in the Muslim belief.
Yes,
that like kinda is a ghost, kinda isn't, but the mere thought of them terrifies me, and they're called jinn. In which are these omni-dimensional creatures that kind of work like ghosts but kind of aren't, which can be either positive or negative. They can be either like good or bad.
Yeah, so like ghosts.
Yeah, and they're like shapeshifters. There's a Oh, there's a ritual you can do to visit their world,
We don't want to go.
and it's
Oh,
just
the day after tomorrow. Jesus, that's bad.
that's
Flu.
that's funny. It's you. No, that's
Oh,
that's
the
a horror.
orphanage. This one's really good. This is a Spanish one, and it's fucking good.
The Flu's just a horror film for unvaccinated kids. It's just a kid sneezes on a kid and then it just goes to the end.
But yeah, we should cut this short because we are over the time already.
Are we?
What about Asian horror movies? Oh, true. I definitely need to watch the original The Ring and The Grudge. I definitely need to watch Guinea Pig.
I've never.
Which is that like snuff one, which we haven't even touched snuff films.
There's
but I fucking love snuff films. Oh, Martyrs! Before I forget, Martyrs is a very, very amazing like French one. It's fucking great.
There's this one that I can remember hearing about that I can't remember the name of, which is basically this guy who was a porn star, in which to try and financially help his family, he takes this shady deal to get back into porn.
No, that's a Serbian film.
Is
that's a Serbian film? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what? I'm trying to think of the name of it.
A Serbian film.
Oh, is it right? Is this
what thing?
Fuck off. But yeah, that one.
It's not that bad.
It gets progressively more fucked up.
A Serbian film is literally considered one of the worst horror. Why haven't we talked about the Human Centipede?
Because it's disgusting.
And
I never want to watch it.
The Human Centipede 1 is predictable but necessary for the narrative. The Human Centipede 2 is fucking horrifying and traumatizing.
And then 3 just goes off the rails.
And then the Human Centipede 2 is fucking shit.
Do you think in the middle of just pitching Human Centipede 3, this director just does the world's biggest line off the test and goes, Human Centipede 3, prisoners everywhere, all of the ass. And you don't even like. That's the thing. I think it's brilliant in the fact that it goes off the rails on purpose. It's terrible on purpose. No, because literally every character in it is so unbelievable. They are awful, like an awful in every way. It just breaks every thing that it does.
A Serbian film. The thing is, it's like it's shocking, but it's not that. It has a couple like the end, the final scenes and all that stuff. Yeah, they're fucked and all that. But I would say, what's his name? The guy that did Antichrist and Nymphomaniac, was it as well? It's just this guy that does like fucked up. He might actually be the same director that did a Serbian film. He's just fucked, and he does like just fucked films.
I need you to translate for me. What's this nice person said? The one has said hola.
That Serbian film gave him a lot of cringe and didn't understand anything that was going on.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's weird. But I honestly like the Human Centipede 2 like traumatized me more. I think it's the film that has traumatized me the most.
Oh, our nice little friend Wed mentioned mentioned zombie films.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Zombie films. Okay, so when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I fucking loved Zombieland, which isn't technically a horror film, but I loved Zombieland.
It's so brilliant, well done, because like it's one of those films that literally puts the stereotypes in there and like it's every nerd's wet dream in film form, because everyone has that, especially massive nerds like myself, because I am one of those nerds who has a plan for the zombie apocalypse.
Me too. I can climb posts, lampposts.
Quick little pause. I'm not going to give any details because I don't want any fuckers who are local messing with my zombie survival guide. My plan is to, one, loot any nearby buildings that are worth looting near my house, and there's a few. There's a nice little shopping place near mine that. But
what if you're not near your house though? What if you're here?
If I'm here, try and get to my house or somewhere rural, because fuck, anywhere in the middle of a city is just death. No, you don't want that.
Yeah,
and it's usually not going to be because of the zombies, unless they're the rages. Then everyone's fucked. Like proper 28 days later rages.
That's what I was gonna say. But, I love 28 days later. I watched it recently and
I had to watch a lot of zombie films for one of my presentations I had to do, which focus on a genre and how it developed through the years. And me and my mates went, want to go to zombie films? I went, yeah.
Did you watch Night of the Living Dead?
Of course.
Okay.
We were, and it was that thing. It was like it first.
Oh, Saw, top notch. I love him.
I've never watched them. Never
I
interested
love
me.
them so much because that's the thing. When I was a kid, everyone was like, "Oh, Saw is just like gore for the sake of gore." So I literally like stayed away from them because I'm like,
That's the
I don't
thing.
want to watch that. But then when I grew up here and I started watching horror films and I saw that like Chucky wasn't that big a deal, Nightmare on Elm Street wasn't that big a deal, I'm like, well, I'm gonna fucking watch Saw because I'm a
And
big
it
girl
did
now.
make you feel.
And it's so good. Like the plot and all that stuff. I wasn't expecting that interesting of a plot, honestly.
See, the first one I
'Cause
will
they're
give.
so, like,
The first one,
intertwined
by
and
what I
everything.
know of it, because again,
It's
I've never
so
watched any of
The
the
first
Saws.
one's pretty basic, but it sets the whole story for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of stories to like go off, and it's so interesting. And like, yeah, you could say it's a bit dragged out because like fucking Saw dies and the thing still carries on.
I know.
But-
It's that thing. Is it turned from something that was really interesting.
No,
the twist was like that.
I think all of them
torture.
all of them are really good. Like, yeah, obviously it's more torture
Ooh.
than is necessary, but that's literally the
Do you know-
character's thing. It's like you need to sacrifice something in order to survive or get someone else to survive, and it's always going to be something that's life changing, like fucking gouging an eye out or chopping up a limb.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Is another film that I think is a very brilliant Saw-like film, The Collector, and I think that's on
I haven't
Netflix.
watched it.
And it's basically the Saw. It's a premise of Saw, but in this, I kidnap people and then put them through torture for their own like saving of their soul sort of thing. More of this guy who just.
No, it's so much more deep.
I know. This is just going off my knowledge in which he wants to
but
make
you have
people
no
pay.
idea.
And
It's
blah, blah.
so much more complicated. It's amazing.
Apparently, the newest one is actually supposed to have a nice little plot thing to it that no one expected, because everyone went, "Oh fucking hell, Saw, another film." Oh, in the
Yeah,
series.
I watched the new one. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but no, The Collector's very similar. It's in the premise of this guy who is very smart in their ability to make traps. But what I think is brilliant and makes the
That's
character,
like the law-abiding citizen, but that's
Yeah,
not a horror film.
but what the difference is that it's not in this secluded area that this person's purposely picked so that their traps would work. No, this is a guy who's that smart. He can adapt his traps to his environment. I mean, the sequel. Oh my god, you're going to love the beginning to the sequel. No spoilers, but it involves a combine harvester. Oh, it's actually amazing, and it's really good. And the first one leaves just enough mystery to why this guy does it for the sequel to then go and like explain and explore that. And then both are really good in their sense, and the fact that the first one is a combination of Saw and a burglary gone wrong, because this guy just assumes that this house is going to be free because people are away, and then that's not the case, and shit goes awry. Paranormal Activity can suck my ass. I'm very sorry.
We need to cut this short. We're already fucking almost 15 minutes over the limit.
Well, that's why I said
we can-
Paranormal Activity can suck my ass.
But
I
yeah,
don't like Paranormal Activity. Strongly don't. It's cheesy.
Poltergeist
and
is
shit.
another good one, the classic.
Poltergeist.
I love Poltergeist.
Evil Dead trilogy, not the remake, because
No.
that tongue scene's too much for me. It's just uncomfortable.
I
Yeah,
hate it.
like
at the
seeing-
arm part.
I've never watched it. Just the fact that they put
literally
the tongue
cuts
scene
his
in
arm
the
in half, like Saw style.
No,
Oh.
I don't like shit like that. I mean,
The thing is,
fucking
you're gonna
Gerard's
be
game.
you're gonna be very biased against Saw because you're just gonna look at the gory parts. But like, by the way, there's so many like good behind the scenes Saw videos on like YouTube, like how they made the traps and the makeup and everything. And like my favorite one is the needle pit. It's so good how they made the effect, and it's so complicated. It's not just as easy as like what.
You're a crush too.
What, me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Look how surprised you are at that. Shut up. You're more crush material than me.
No,
My shitty ass hair and my weird fucking paper coming out of here.
But yeah, we need to
Yes,
cut this
we'll cut this
short.
short. I like this. I think we should do this more often, though.
Yes, we are. Well, I mean, if the radio is going to be shut for the holidays, we're probably going to be doing this for a couple weeks. So that's
Yeah, we can definitely do this much more often. I like this. Just
casual
talking.
hangout sesh.
Yeah, I think Oh, I think if next time we do this, I just want to go on about our favorite theories of just explain them as we go, and like favorite just stupid conspiracy things and that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. But yeah, for now, we're going to cut it short. As always, check us out in our other social media at _creepycorner on Twitter and Instagram, and at cbcreepycorner on Facebook. And yes, let us know in the comments, which I forgot. I should have said the question of like the week before the whole like show, because like not everyone's going to stick to the end. But like, let us know what your favorite horror films are in the comments or in our social media. We're always paying attention to that stuff. So yes, thank you for joining us,
And we'll see you guys next time.
Yes, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.